New research shows that women are more likely to get Alzheimer's, but there are ways to prevent it. Dr. Jessica Caldwell is joining us now from the Cleveland Clinic Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health with more on the research and the prevention that we know about so far. Dr. Caldwell, thank you for being with us. So let's start out with the basics. Why does it seem like women are more prone to Alzheimer's?
It's a great question that not everyone is aware of the answer. Women represent 2/3 of people with Alzheimer's today.
That high?
It is. It's almost double the risk of men. And the reason was thought for years to just be because women on average live longer than men. But now we know there are many other factors. Women are more impacted by certain genetic risks, by menopause, and even by higher rates of depression and lower rates of exercise.
Interesting. So what about the rates of being diagnosed? I mean, are women more likely to come in and sit down and talk with you and say, I keep forgetting where I put the car keys?
I would think that that would have been true, but actually no. And it is that women are bringing in family members, but family members may not necessarily bring women in. So women oftentimes come later than men to be diagnosed.
So what do you look at? I mean, what would your advice be to people if you look at that threshold of just ordinary forgetfulness that is nothing really to worry about, as opposed to where it crosses that threshold into we could have a dementia or Alzheimer's problem?
What I like to tell people is it's about how often something happens and how severe the thing is. So for example, if you misplace your keys once and you don't do it again for weeks, that's probably not a sign of anything changing. But if you misplace them multiple times per day, or if you forget what they're for, then that's a sign you may really need an evaluation.
Right. So let's walk through some of the reasons that can kind of speed up the onset of Alzheimer's, and then we'll get to the prevention tips. But what are some things you can do to avoid the onset to begin with, to delay everything?
Sure. Prevention and delay are oftentimes one and the same. So the same behaviors that could maybe delay symptoms also might prevent them from ever showing up. So some of the things that people can do to really help their Alzheimer's risk would be exercising, eating a healthy diet, and making sure you get enough sleep.
Now, to take that a step further now, if you're to the point where you've diagnosed this is Alzheimer, early stages, are some things out there that you can do to just slow the progression down?
Some of these same factors that are good for prevention are also just as good if someone already has a diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment or even dementia. So staying active, making sure you're not isolated, all of these things can be helpful no matter whether you have a diagnosis or not.
Now, very, very quickly before we run out of time, some of the medications that have been approved by the FDA down the road, obviously it's not a cure, but what are those meds able to do, and why is it so important to get them started early in the process?
It's very important to understand what kind of medications are appropriate for your particular symptoms, so talking with a doctor. We've had medications for a long time that can support memory. They don't actually slow the process or change the disease, but they can support it. And now more recently, we also have medications that can take Alzheimer's-related changes out of the brain. Those still are not a cure, but they do slow the process.
Dr. Caldwell, thank you for joining us. And just so everybody knows, we are so lucky in Las Vegas to have such a resource like the Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health through the Cleveland Clinic. It's an amazing facility, and people can reach out to you if they have any questions, or even maybe volunteer for some of the research.
Yes, they can. And if women who are 30 to 60 and have a family history of Alzheimer's want to learn more about prevention, the best way to find us is www.womenpreventalz.org.
All right, doctor, thank you. Let's get over